everybody. This is Miss Trinidad and Tobago 2014, Sarah Jane Wadell, and you're listening to Life After the Crown with Tim Tialdo.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Life After the Crown podcast, where each episode I bring you useful interviews with former pageant contestants, title holders, and women of influence who are now succeeding across many different industries in the real world. My name is Tim Tialdo, lifestyle entrepreneur, pageant host, author, and quite honestly, somebody who just wants to help you become a better person overall. Now, if pageant life is over for you, or it soon could be, and you're wondering, well, what do I do now? Or what's next? This podcast is designed to help make the transition to real life and the school of hard knocks a little bit easier for you to handle. So if this is your first time listening, thanks for tuning in. We're glad you're with us today. Let's get started. My guest today was Miss Trinidad and Tobago 2014, and later that year, a semi-finalist in the Miss World competition. She received her bachelor's degree from Villanova University and served as the Strategic Communication Officer of the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs in Trinidad and Tobago. She is both an accomplished TV and radio host and even has her own radio show on a daily basis. And recently, she began a new fashion design business called SJW Designs, in which she creates carnival costumes and also swimsuits. The business has blown up very quickly and become quite successful. Matter of fact, she's accomplished so much that some people tell me she's earned the nickname the Queen of Trinidad because she seems to be the jack of all trades in many respects. So I'm happy to welcome all the way by phone from Trinidad and Tobago, Sarah Jane Wadell. So great to have you on.
Thank you so much. What an illustrious introduction. You're going to have to stop there because I think my head is swelling up so much now. I'm not going to be able to get out the door. I'm the Queen of Trinidad now.
hey, that's just what people tell me. So congratulations on having that nickname. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
So for those of you listening, real quick, my connection to Sarah is actually through Miss United States 2014, Elizabeth Seyfried. So, Sarah, if you want to tell everybody, I believe you two are so close now that you're going to be a bridesmaid in her wedding. So talk about that relationship.
Oh, goodness, yes. And it's quite funny because I gave her a disclaimer. I said, Elizabeth, if you don't want to make me a bridesmaid, that's okay. Because after she got engaged, right, I just said, just taking that stress off of you. I know you have a lot of lovely girlfriends, and I don't live there, so I understand. But at the same time, I'm just letting you know ahead of time that you're going to be one of mine. So I'm just putting that out there. She was like, are you crazy? Of course you're a bridesmaid. But I guess now the world knows. But Elizabeth is... She really is one of the best things that came out of Miss World, in my opinion. She's just a fantastic human and a great friend, and it's very easy to see somebody on the outside and think, they have their lives and they're perfect or whatever, or even to think that, secretly they're not a nice person or secretly they can't be that great. Elizabeth is somebody who she's worked really, really hard, so I respect her for that. And she's very, very smart, so I respect her on that level too. But most of all, she's just a beautiful person, as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside. So yeah, that's my girl.
Yeah,
that's my home girl.
I believe you two met back at, at Villanova while you were in the sororities. Is that right?
Oh, no. We met on the first day of Miss World. She came in and sat down. And, of course, because she's Miss USA, I mean, already everybody's, like, whispering and looking and, oh, my goodness, and da-da-da. And, well, me, I just went and sat down right next to her and was like, hey, what's up? I'm Sarah Jane. I'm Miss Trinidad and Tobago. And then we just started talking. And that sorority connection, obviously, is, like, that's an experience that we both had in our lives. So that was just a very easy in, and then it was so valuable having someone like her there, like a real friend that, even rehearsals, you're there for like hours and hours and we're just there playing games on our phone, laughing, like having a ball, and you're just seeing other girls sitting down there stressed out, like maxed out, and I'm just like, thank God for Elizabeth. I still thank God for her. She's a gem.
Well, I just actually talked to her about an hour ago, right before we jumped on. I just wanted to get a little background on you, and she was telling me that not only do you speak the great English that we hear right now, I believe you speak quite a few languages. Can you tell me how many languages you speak and which ones?
Oh, no. Well, it gets very exaggerated. No, I do have a degree in Mandarin. So, but I will say I'm a little rusty because I just don't get to practice enough.
Sure.
But I do get to practice when I go to the Chinese restaurants, and it wows people every time. So that never gets old. But I would say definitely my Spanish is more fluent. I spent a few years in Costa Rica as a child growing up. So I always really wanted to maintain it because I understood how important it was, you know, and then, you know, I always kind of had it there. And then now my business is largely run in Spanish by people who don't really speak very good English. Thankfully, my employees my Spanish is back to 100 again.
Well, very good.
I have to speak Spanish all day. My boyfriend just like rolls his eyes because all I'm doing all day is just making phone calls in Spanish. So yeah, but I mean, that has been a big help to me. I would encourage anybody who has language capabilities, don't lose it, especially Chinese and Spanish. I mean, if you know Chinese and Spanish, you've already locked down so much of the world in itself, you know. Mm-hmm. And then also just Chinese, I would say practicality. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to use it every day. But when you go into a job interview and you tell people you speak Mandarin, I guarantee that's going to be that's the first candidate that they've heard say that, you know, and it's always like makes your resume jump off the page. So for me, that's definitely where the Mandarin, the value of it lies.
Well, very cool. Well, I'll tell you what, you are my very first international contestant that I have had on the show, so thanks for doing this. For those of you listening, if you don't remember where Trinidad and Tobago is, it's off the northern coast of Venezuela, down there south of kind of the Cuba and the Dominican Republic. Now, I obviously am not very familiar with Trinidad and Tobago, so I'd be interested to know, how did you get into the pageant world coming from Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, Trinidad and Tobago they are very big on their pageants. And it's funny because it almost becomes like it's part of the vernacular. When you see a beautiful girl, you go, oh my gosh, you're so pretty. You should go from the Trinidad and Tobago. And so it's funny now because people who don't know who I am will tell me that I'm just there awkwardly like, well, I was Miss Tobago. But no, basically, when I was a little girl, I was living in Costa Rica at the time. And I think, you know, when you're that age, when you're like 9, 10 years old, you don't really want you just want to fit in with your friends. You don't really want things that will make you stand out in a strange way. You just want to be, you know, blend in. And already I didn't really speak the language so well. And then I was from this little island where nobody knew where that was, you know, so I just didn't really like to talk about it. And then Miss Universe, I mean, of course we missed home so much, and Miss Universe was kind of our way of connecting with home because everybody at home is pageant crazy, you know. So my mom and I used to watch Miss Universe every year. And so one year we're watching, and this is 1998, so 20 years ago, wow. 20 years ago, the dream was born. That's crazy. I'm old. But yes, so, and I'm sitting down with my mom. We're watching it, and we're watching Trinidad first, you know, make the first cut. And we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then she made the next cut, and like, you know, we're like having heart failure. And then by the time she won, well, it was just like apoplectic. Like I'm like jumping up and down on the bed. Like you know, it was like one of the best moments ever. And I just remembered the next morning, I am on the bus. And it was in the papers. She was like front and center. Her picture, Wendy Fitzwilliam wins Miss Universe. And all these kids are coming up to me in the bus and they're like, isn't this where you're from? Like this is your girl that won. And I felt like so proud to be from Trinidad. And it was just like this very special moment for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happened. And that's when I just said, I want to do this for little girls one day. Like I want to make little girls feel proud to be Trinidadian and proud because as a small island, this probably you haven't heard before, or maybe in some version of this from smaller states, but pageantry levels out the playing field. It allows smaller nations to compete with nations that they normally would never, ever have a chance with. Like something like GDP, we can never compete with America on GDP, but sure. I can technically compete with America at a pageant, you know, so so we could potentially beat these countries that we have just become so accustomed to saying, well, we're from a country with 1.2 million people. What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. You know, and so you're standing shoulder to shoulder with them, and there's just something very hopeful about that. And so that was when I called it my secret dream, and I said to myself, okay, I am going to do this one day. and of course everybody just was like, okay, like, and I just said, you know what, let me not talk about it, because how do you talk about that? When people go, oh, what is your dream? You say, yes, I want to be a Miss Trinidad Tobago, when I want to win a pageant. People will be like, okay, like, you just sound very vain and superficial almost, so I just called it my secret dream, and those who knew me very well knew that that was something I wanted. So I had this thing, and I just kind of nursed it quietly for years, didn't really talk about it. And then when I was 23, I got a phone call from my friend, and she was just like, oh my gosh, they are doing auditions, castings this weekend for it, and you're at your peak now. So I think you should do it, right? And I was now getting over a little heartbreak. So I was like feeling sad. I was like, okay, this will be a good distraction. And, I'd kind of forgotten about it, and then I went. They had about 250 girls showed up that day, and they chose 10. And I could not believe that I made it into that 10. And so that was just a ride on its own, and that was like my first experience in pageantry. And I didn't win, but it was also a good exercise in self-awareness, because I was able to very objectively look at these girls around me and say, and because you're training with them, you know who's the strongest, you know who is the most prepared, and you understand. And it was just my first time seeing behind the curtain. So that was in 2012. And I did it, and I placed whatever, and it was fine. It was a great experience. I was very thankful for it. And then a couple of years later, they were like, try Miss World. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I really going to put my whole life on hold again, like, for this thing? I don't know. And then I did a little more research on Miss World, and I was like, you know what, this is something I could really do well at, because Miss World is very, very focused on, it's like a resume.
Yeah.
So it's very focused on your achievements, what you've done, and, very all-rounded look at the girl. And I said to myself, okay, I mean, I'm not 6'1", I don't have double D boobs, I'm not, I'm not like the perfect, typical frame. But, if I work out, I'll be okay. And you know what I mean? And then I said to myself, maybe this might be the way for me to have that dream. And, I got very, very lucky that it worked out. And I mean, I had one of the best experiences, I have to say. And I mean, it opens your life up to so much. The thing is, you just have to capitalize on it, which is what I really respect about what you do, because you're there to help girls capitalize it when the spotlight is off of them. Everybody cares about what they're doing when the spotlight is on them. It's very easy to forget about them afterwards. So that's why, I like the idea of after the crown, because that's really what's important. It's how you take advantage of the blessings that you've been given.
Well, thank you. I truly appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, you and I were talking a little bit before the interview. When you were crowned Miss Trinidad and Tobago, you faced a little bit of backlash, and I found it very interesting because, as you know, in today's world, a lot of these girls face backlash, and, they're attacked on social media for various different reasons. But can you tell us a little bit about the scenario that you went through and how you handled it?
Absolutely. It was so strange because the first time when I didn't win, I was the fan favorite for Miss Universe. And there was a backlash on the girl because a lot of people were like, what? Sarah Jane should have won. She speaks all these languages and she and they were really mad about it. And I was like, no, I totally understand why this girl won. She deserved this, and I'm really happy for her, and I really wish her the best. And so then it was crazy now to see a year or two later that I'm now again, and I'm expecting people to be like, yeah, she finally got through, and people were just like, what? And that's when I realized, like, it doesn't matter who it is, how it is, when it is. They basically told us in training, they said, listen, if you win, this is what they're going to see. If you win, this is what they're going to see. And they explained to us, it doesn't matter who, there's always going to be people unhappy. So you just have to turn around, look at yourself, know who you are, so that people can't tell you who you are. And remind yourself that, girl, you worked real hard and you have a sash and crown, and nobody's going to stop you. And once you focus on what's important, if you let all that stuff get to you, you're not going to be able to perform because you're just going to have all these negative voices in your head. So it's like, I just used to ask myself, when I'm hearing all these comments on social media, and she's a white girl, she doesn't look Trinidadian, she doesn't deserve it, she bought it, all these stupid things, I just said to myself, Sarah, you worked very hard for this. Is it useful to you to dwell on this? Is it useful? And then I said, no, it's not useful. So then I say, right, so table the topic and move on. And that was how I was able to just keep tunnel vision at all times. and understand what was important.
That's some great advice. So you went to Villanova University. Now, you said you grew up a little bit in Costa Rica. You live in Trinidad and Tobago now. How did Villanova University come into the picture for you?
Oh, my goodness. I went up there. I didn't even have a pair of closed-toed shoes. I didn't have a coat. I remember being at immigration, and the officer was like, oh, Villanova, you guys got a great basketball team. And I was like, really? We do? I didn't even know that. That's awesome. Right? Like, I did not know. Like, people were like, where are you going to school? And I literally, like, had it written down in my hand. I'm like, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Villanova University. Like, that was to tell you. So I was just plunked in the middle of, like, Pennsylvania, no Trinidadians around. But that's what I wanted. I wanted that experience of just being a fish out of water and having to become a chameleon and understand this new flow. The one thing I didn't get was NFL. I still don't understand American football. I can't understand a game. Right? That's the one thing. You all have it. Fine. You win. Okay?
That is a loaded topic. We probably don't even need to dive into it. Yeah. No, that's great. So.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so cool, and it's like 3 hours long. I can't. I don't. I see Elizabeth at all the games, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it. No, but it was great. It taught me a lot. It taught me so much. And just once you push yourself out of that space, I feel like a lot of Trinidadians, they tend to go to the same schools up in Canada. And I just wanted something completely removed from that experience. And it really paid off in the end. And Villanova is a great school. It's a very prestigious school. I had a fantastic experience, and I'm still friends with all of them. They all live in New York City, and I just go up there all the time and made some really, really great friendships. Wouldn't change that choice for anything. It was a random choice that worked out very well for me.
Well, you majored in political science there. What were you hoping to do with that degree? Maybe what did you want to go into?
I wanted to be a diplomat, actually. Because I am a bit of a stateswoman, but I feel like at this point in my life, the internet has so many bikini pictures of me, I just don't know if it could happen.
Yeah, that might be an issue.
I was looking at the Croatian president after Croatia lost at World Cup, and the first thing, all of a sudden, everybody's looking at this woman because she was so gracious, she was so fantastic, and I felt so bad because everybody's looking at all these bikini pictures of her. And I just hate how society does that, but, I just make a little joke to myself and say, yeah, there's too many bikini pictures. Maybe my other dream. But politics here is just a crazy, crazy game. And I think I just realized from early on I wouldn't be able to do it, But, I just see it as a liberal arts degree at this point, and then I added Chinese to that mix. But again, I would advise people to look within, because I really didn't look within. I just feel like I made that choice based on the wrong reasons. And if I go back now, I would have probably done communication, or something like that, or marketing or something. Because to me, I look at myself now and I'm like, this is so obvious. But a lot of times we deny these things because of what we feel like we should be doing. And especially with girls, there's a lot of emphasis placed on education for girls. They get pressured a lot to take these degrees that really, at the end of the day, I have spent zero time really, in going down that path since I graduated, and I just had to get my degree and figure out, even years later, it took me to figure out, I want to work for myself. I want to be in front of a camera because that's where I come alive, and I can do it. That brings me alive. And then I'll also acknowledge this love for costume when I realized that I had an unhealthy obsession with costumes. It was like, you need to stop just talking about it and do it. And the thing is, because I've modeled so many costumes over the years and designed so many of the costumes that I have worn, I actually had a wealth of experience, whereas a lot of designers have not. I'm coming into this business having worn maybe over 100 carnival costumes in my life. So I've worn every color, every cut, every kind of stone. I've seen it all. So that gave me a huge help. But again, if I never really looked inside to acknowledge what is it you really love, what is it that pulls at your heart, what are you thinking about when you're lying down in bed, But too many girls don't do that. So for me, it was belated, but everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Well, sure, and I want to talk about that design business here in a second, but I do want to go back to while you didn't maybe become a diplomat with that political science degree, you did kind of work for the government. We mentioned at the top of the podcast that you were the Strategic Communication Officer for the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, that is a title that I don't think I've ever heard any pageant girl have for any different reason, so I'd just love to know kind of where that came from.
Sure, it was a great job. I was working, and here's the cool part too. Just cool points alone. I had an office on the top floor of the tallest building in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, there you go.
And it was floor to ceiling windows. And I just remember pulling up there and just being like, oh, did this happen? What? No, it was a fantastic experience, and that was definitely where the languages helped. I met a lot of heads of state, people coming in, facilitated a lot of bilateral meetings, organized a lot of events. So it was just a great experience. I was on the permanent secretary staff. So in a ministry, you have the minister, who obviously he's the politician. And then you have the permanent secretary, where no matter if there's a shift in power or nothing, the permanent secretary stays in place. So I was on his staff, and he basically runs the ministry internally. So we did a lot of events, and it was great. It was great. I learned a lot about protocol. So yeah, like I said, that would probably be the extent of my political science degree. Again, with how crazy government is here, my boss literally got a letter saying, I'm moving you to this ministry next week. And that was it. And everybody was just like, what to do? And then that's when I started going into advertising and writing copy and working at an advertising agency. And again, that was a great job for me because it was just different things falling on my desk every day. My thing is, I'm just an adrenaline junkie. I need all sorts of different kinds of stimulation every day. So because of what I get to do now, I get to wear so many different hats on a daily basis. This is where I feel like, wow, you have truly self-actualized now. Maybe 6, 7, 8 years after graduation, I've finally been like, okay, this is your path, Mm-hmm. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I just feel sorry for my boyfriend because he just never gets to see me.
He's like, hey, good night. Good morning.
He's complaining. Yeah, exactly. He's always complaining. But he's a good one. It feels strange for me now to talk to you from this level where I'm saying wow, for the first time since I graduated, I really feel like I've fallen into a very fun and rewarding stride.
Well, I think it's really cool that you've kind of taken the entrepreneurial journey. And as you mentioned, you took the things that you were very passionate about, the carnival costumes, TV hosting, radio, and you kind of decided, I'm just going to take that path and apply the things that I have learned over the time. Now, I know that your design company, SJW Designs, it's a big success for you right now as you're designing carnival costumes and swimsuits. So talk about, I guess, how you came up with the idea and really what your initial plan was with the business.
Oh, my goodness. If I tell you that, you will laugh.
No, I'm ready for it. Let's hear it.
It was so, you just lay it on me. It was so ad hoc. So basically how Carnival works is you have 2 days. It's non-stop. And I mean, it's year round. Everybody just looks for, it's just like a cycle. So we have right now we're in band launch season. So the costumes come out. They have a huge, what we call a fest. It's thousands of people, and you have all these glittering models on stage. It looks like a Victoria's Secret fashion show, that kind of vibe, but it's with costume, and it's just fantastic. So that's what we're in the middle of right now in summer. And so basically that's Tuesday wear, but Monday it's kind of cool because Monday the masqueraders get to kind of do their own outfit and design their own outfit. And it generally tends to look, before this, I felt like, a lot of people, the Monday is kind of basic. And I used to always be very extra on Monday. I was known for that. People just be like, oh my gosh, her Monday looks like a Tuesday. And so I started to say, you know what, there's no reason why I can't make money off of that. There's no reason why I can't create a niche because I know there's going to be other girls that want to look just as done up. So why don't I create a scaled up costume? Now, the thing is, Tuesday costumes are they're very fussy. There's a lot going on. There's gems everywhere. There's drapes. It's sticky. It's, very fussy. And I just said, right, I want all the bling that you have on Tuesday, but I want to be comfortable. So I want it to be sporty. I want these girls to run around, do whatever they can, jump up and down, go and get drinks, take a dance all they want, but I don't want them to be encumbered. But it needs to be just as ornate, And so I basically kind of created this little sweet spot. And I said to myself, okay, if I sell 30 costumes, I wouldn't feel embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like I said, okay, if I do 30, I'll be like, okay, that was a good job. Yeah, you know? And we ended up doing over 100 costumes, which I know that sounds small, but for a small island like this, to do over 100 costumes on your first year is very notable, you know? And the other thing that I was very proud of as well is that a lot of people saw them and just thought the costumes are so outstanding because they're completely covered in mirrors and they're done very intricately. Each costume is done by hand and takes several hours to complete. And so people came up to me after Carnival and they were like, oh my God, you must have had at least 300 people on the road because I saw your girls everywhere. And the thing is, once they put them on and the sunlight hit those mirrors, they just started to go crazy. You know, like they were just having the time. They felt like celebrities, you know. So for me now, Carnival is finally here. I had anticipated doing 30 costumes, okay? So you can imagine in just a few months, we had to scale up and scale up and scale up. I had to find new people to come work for me. I had to find new seamstresses to beg them to make more costumes. You know, so it was just like this crazy ride. So that by the time Carnival actually arrived, on top of me having to do my costume and the diet and the fitness and all the other things, by the time Carnival got here, I was like crawling onto the road like a zombie, you know, like I was like barely alive, you know, like, and I got there and these girls are just there looking like glamazons and they are like running up to me like, this is the best Monday I've ever had on Carnival and I love your costume. I cannot wait to wear something for you next year. And that was when I was like, whoa, okay, this is what it's like to be a designer. You know, like up until that point, I think was suffering from imposter syndrome.
Sure.
You know, I just felt like, oh, I'm just doing something and it just kept growing and growing. And it was only after I was like, wow, this is so rewarding.
Here's what I find really interesting, really quick. In the pageant world, tons of girls model. Now, I know you do a lot of modeling. As you mentioned earlier, there's pictures of you in a bikini all over the internet. But what was great is that you took that experience of modeling and modeling these types of costumes, and you didn't just say, I've got great pictures and look at me. You said, I actually think I can do these better or maybe in a better way. And you made a business out of it. What is it like to maybe take a career in modeling and say, I want to be an entrepreneur and do what I'm actually being paid to do right now?
I felt like I had been working with so many designers, whether it was through Miss World or through modeling with my Carnival band or whatever, that I had learned so much. And then I think it had also provided the opportunity for me to realize, like when my costumes were a success year after year, people were like, oh my God, I saw that picture of that costume everywhere. Or the thing is that I said, wow, like on things like we were very on trend. So I kept saying, okay, what's going to be big next year? Shoulders. So let's do some shoulder pads. Okay, peplum. Let's do a peplum. Okay, let's do a crown, like a saint style crown. You know, and like for me, my reward is the next year seeing a bunch of costume designs come out where there's saint-style crowns, or you're seeing shoulders come out in a big way the Carnival the following year. And so that was, I think, where was the sign where I realized, wait a minute, I'm on to something here as a designer. I'm on trend. And also, like, on a practical sense, I've worn these costumes and I've played Carnival for many years. So I actually know I have worn the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm able to apply that wisdom to my designs, which there are a lot of designers who really are they're not models. They're just designers who don't have that advantage as well. Not that I'm saying that it makes them any less good. I'm just saying for me, being a model was a huge part of why, because I understood this works or this is very flattering to my shape, you know. And then I also felt like with Carnival, there is a big push towards women that look like me. You know, there is a big push to dress fairer, skinnier, younger girls. And I said to myself, that's not what I want my brand to be. I want, if you're light, if you're dark, if you're chubby, if you're skinny, if you're old, if you're young, that you have a place to wear my design. And I think that was it was a very cool moment as well. When I, you know, went on the road, you could see squads of women and they were all different shapes. And they were all wearing these suits together, a dozen of them. And every girl looked good, you know. And that for me was the biggest accomplishment, was making these women feel good and seeing them write me afterwards like, wow, like I felt like this costume was made for my skin tone or was just suited my shape, my hips, Everything was it looked very simple, but the cuts were actually very, very thought out to be very versatile. I that was another thing as well from a business perspective. I feel like personally, I changed the way that money wear was done. I'm not trying to, and I had a lot of help from a lot of people. I'm not trying to claim credit as the end all and be all, but I will say, I personally don't think anybody had done it like that before. So we launched the costume in October. We launched the line. And then we launched, I think right as carnival season started, we launched accessories. So now was it's starting to pick up and the girls are starting to say, okay, and they've already signed on to play in the line. Now we launch accessories. So now I've not just made the swimsuit, because like I said, a lot of what the market was is swimsuit with some gems stuck on it and people would wear that. And I said, no, I want it to be more ornate and I want the girls to be completely kitted out. I want leg pieces, I want arm pieces, I want shades, I want belts, everything. So now I literally had crossbody handbags. So all these different ways for women to customize their outfits. So even though I had hundreds of women playing in it, each girl felt like she looked unique. And so it's not like you show up to a wedding and somebody has on your dress. It was like, okay, you're wearing a white t-shirt and jeans and I'm wearing a white t-shirt and jeans, but you have on bell bottoms and I have on skinnies and she has on short pants and she has on a denim skirt. You know what I mean? So everybody just felt like this very cool, empowering squad feeling when they arrived on the road and was like, oh my gosh, you're in it too. Oh my gosh, look at us. Let's take a picture. So again, as a woman, that was just wow, made by women, all different ages, all different types, for women, all different types. And then there was just this big, coming together moment. So, honestly, I could not have asked for a better first year. I feel so blessed. I feel like I was just very lucky with timing. And I had a lot of people who were able to give me advice based on their mistake, and then just, you just got to be quick with it. Of course, the game is up. Now this year, the game is up. They're looking for me now. They weren't looking for me last year. So now I have to come twice as good because it's going to be twice as competitive.
Yeah, you certainly have to bring your A game. Well, you were mentioning the squad, and what you told me before we were on the interview here is you hired all women. So talk about kind of the empowering feeling of being able to hire a team of women to kind of be your squad, so to speak, in designing.
Absolutely. It was very cool because it is cool because the way these pieces are, you can take them home and work on it. You know what I mean? Because they do take a while. So it's okay, put on a movie, and just chill for a bit, because you can't just, spit them out. And so it's cool because it's you go home, you do your little homework or whatever, and then we all reconvene. We sit around in a circle, we laugh, we tell jokes, we make fun of each other. We have a good time. And then and the thing is too, is that all of these women were women who had never worked in carnival. And weirdly enough, that was kind of important to me because I didn't want, granted, I did have people that obviously have experience in carnival, but my little squad of us that were sitting down every day jamming out these pieces, it was all of us learning together. And so we didn't inherit the bad habits of the industry. You know what I mean? It was just, we felt like friends, and this was something that we were doing for these women. And I think it was truly special, I guess, just for me alone as somebody who all these years, carnival have been all about, it's very competitive. These women are very competitive. They work out. They want to work on the best. They want to look like absolute goddesses on the road. And I really couldn't do that year because I was so busy working and running this business. And I felt so good about it because I was instead of it being me, I want to be the best I can. My focus now was I need my girls to look as good as they can. I can't let down these women that have signed up and that they're counting on me. And I want these women to look as best as possible. So that kind of transfer of my priorities, I think almost was a coming of age moment for me too, that this is what I wanted. And that's when I realized okay, this is the business for me. This is something I enjoy. It's fun, it's fast paced, it's competitive. You lose sleep, you have some crazy deadlines, so it keeps you on your toes all the time. And then it's just artistic. You can create, and then doing it with a whole squad of women, and we all love each other. We have each other's back. We support each other. That just makes it so, so much sweeter.
Well, look, going into your second year, you're on such a high right now. I wish you good luck. I know you're going to do great. And I love your tenacity and your drive. I mean, you can just hear it in your voice that you are very passionate about this. So good luck with your second year.
Thank you so much. Yeah, literally from a week before Carnival, I was like already buckling under the pressure of what I'm going to come with next year.
Yeah, well, for those of you listening, you'll notice that Sarah can very easily carry on a great conversation, whether it's in Mandarin or Spanish or English, right, Sarah? That's because she is a TV and radio host. So tell me about kind of how your radio and TV career developed alongside all these other things you're doing as the, nicknamed Queen of Trinidad.
Oh, my gosh, please. I am mortified that Elizabeth told you that. Because you know what it is? Elizabeth came and stayed with us in Trinidad. Right? And I just had it like on lock. The whole trip was planned. It was like boom, bang, all these, and she's like doing photo shoots every day, and we go and stay in this amazing house, all these things. And by the end of it, of course, she was just like, nah, you're just the Queen of Trinidad, And of course, all my friends around are like, yeah, she does kind of run things a little bit, So they're like, no, but I guess she had to tell you. Gosh, I'm dying. But no, radio and TV is a lot of fun. I saw radio as, because like when I told people I want to do radio, people were like, what? Are you crazy? Why? Like, you have a face for TV, you're a person to do TV. Why would you do radio? And I said, this is what I need. Again, it's that self-awareness that will always come into clutch, And I said, this is like host boot camp every single day for 3 hours. I'm going to be in a studio interviewing people, talking to people, and that's the thing with radio too. You're in a room by yourself sometimes. Like, I have a co-host sometimes, but sometimes it's just me. And people think you're crazy because you're just there playing music with your headphones on. You're there telling jokes, laughing at yourself, entertaining people. But it's made me so much sharper. And I would definitely say like I said, again, with After the Crown, I'm a big believer in skill stacking, and just figuring out something that, okay, this is useful to me. This can add to what I can do. So I'm going to just go down this road for a few hundred hours and master this so that I can say that I can do this. Or something like randomly, I took a Google AdWords course the other day, just so I could say I'm certified in Google AdWords. And I might not need it right now, but like you have people that when you come with something, like if you come to a job interview and you say, yes, I could do A and I can do B very well. But it's different when you go, yeah, I can do A, B, Z, Q, Y. I'm pretty good at P and S. You know what I mean? And so that makes you that much more useful. So for me now being like, yes, I do radio. I can host radio. Yes, I am involved in social media and marketing. I have my bearings with that for sure. And just different things. It makes you so much more versatile and much more hireable. So it's just like, even if it seems useless at the time, you have no idea what you're going to learn from an endeavor. So once that door is open to you, just take it. Just grab it. Because it doesn't have to come back to you right now. But the way the universe works, down the line, you will see it. You will definitely see it. So for radio, I said to myself, let's do this. This is going to be like host boot camp. I'm there. And now it's crazy because now that I'm hosting, I host a show called Bling My Wedding, where we go in and we bling out people's weddings. It's actually the awesomest job anybody could ever have.
I bet.
To just like making brides so happy. And now I feel like I'm going to be a wedding wizard by the time I'm finally ready. So, but and it's made me such a much better TV host because I have had now put in endless hours and focusing on my elocution because all I have is my voice. Radio is important to me because I'm so tired of people telling me that I got somewhere because I'm pretty. And I said, listen to my show because you like listening to me. Listen to my show because you think I'm funny. Listen to my show because you think you can learn something. But you can't see or listen to my show because I'm pretty, because you can't even see me. I hope that makes some sense.
No, that makes total sense. Let's talk a little bit about that, because you and I both come from the TV hosting background. I actually wrote a book on it. You've experienced it from the TV side and the radio side. So let me ask you this, because this was my experience, and it's probably the reason that you and I are doing this right now, is that when you're a TV host, a lot of it is, let's just be honest, it's about you, and it's about how you appear and what you're doing and who you're around and who you're interviewing and all that stuff. But when you go to radio, number one, you have to learn how to ad-lib a lot. You and I have been talking for, 45, 50 minutes now. You could talk for 3 hours. Number two is you have to learn how to listen because you don't have anybody to look at. You don't have anything to stare at. So it's like if you're not listening, you're totally screwed.
Yes, and that's the thing I notice a lot of people do, right? So like I'll see it on TV even. They'll be doing an interview and somebody will mention something earlier on in their response, right? Like this is like, I'm talking like politics, talking heads if I'm looking at the news even. Mm-hmm. And they will just hear that little tidbit and they will just hold on to that tidbit until the end of the question and ask something about that. Because they'll just be like, right, I've lined up the next question. And they line up the next question and they just don't really take in what the person is saying. And that's something that, you have to take in this person and just listen to them and listen to threads. Like I call them threads. Mm-hmm. Like even when we did the casting for Bling My Wedding to figure out which couples we wanted, they basically were like, Sarah, you need to we want you to take a strong stance on interviewing the couples because I would see things I'd say, okay, and tell me, have you been having issues with your in-laws? And you'd see them roll their eyes and be like, well, da 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 da. Or like, has religion come into play? And it's because they will, if you really study people, like, and that's when you see people, that's why people like Oprah and Tony Robbins, when they're so gifted, because they're actually taking in the person and looking at them, and so radio is the same thing. Like, you have to be on your P's and Q's. You have people coming into your show every single day, and you have to be a chameleon and know how to work with them and meet them halfway. And not everybody's the same. Some people you have to warm them up. And these are all skills where TV, you just go on, you read your your
teleprompter.
You read the teleprompter, you nail it, and you're like, all right, sweet, same time tomorrow, guys.
Yeah.
Radio, it's like you're live. You are live. And if you make a mistake, the nation is hearing it on the radio. And you have to be funny and quick, and you can't be inappropriate. There's certain lines you cannot cross. But all the while, you still have to keep it quick pace. So that is an art that not everybody can do, So radio is underrated, and radio has taught me so much so belatedly in the game. That's why I'm so grateful for it.
Well, look, you are a incredible example to a lot of women out there of tenacity, of passion, of experience, of drive. And it's so cool to see you do all these different things and being so successful at what you do. And I know you have a big social media following. So for those around the world who are listening to this, who either adore you or look up to you or, hey, I just want to be kind of like Sarah Jane, what advice would you have for them in general, those who are coming from the pageant world on, how to succeed after it's all over?
Okay. I'll tell you.
Loaded question.
I'll tell you this. No. Yes, but I could tell you exactly what it is for sure. The day that my life changed, I realized to myself. I said to myself, gosh, boy, because I am religious, and I said, gosh, boy, God blesses me every day. Every breath that you take is somebody's last breath. Right? And I'm not about to hit you all with some BS about like, be grateful for, obviously, yes, be grateful. That's great, whatever. That's generic. I don't care. That's anybody. You can get that advice from a fortune cookie. My point is, I woke up and said, God blesses me every single day. What am I doing to pay forward those blessings, right? Because yes. I said to myself, when God sees you blessing other people, paying forward the things that he gives you more, right? Mm-hmm. And so I started to say to myself, okay, I'm going to start looking for opportunities where I can do things for the people. And it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It could just be generosity with your spirit, with how you interact with people, with just giving of yourself on a daily basis, And so I just started to live my life differently. Not that I was some heathen, crazy person, selfish, wacko before, but I just started to see, oh, that's an opportunity crossing my path. You know what I mean? And then anytime I saw, I just see myself as I'm in space, floating. This is kind of a weird metaphor, right? But I'm in space floating and there's 100 doors in front of me, right? And you can open, behind one door is success. Behind one door is your fortune. But you can't, you can only open one door at a time. But if you just stand up there floating, frozen, because you don't know which door to open, what does that really say? What are you really doing with your life? So my thing was I just started looking for opportunities where I could do nice things for people, make new friends, meet new people. Even when I did the pageant, from the time I got there, It was like, oh my gosh, you need a pair of earrings? Come, let me help you. Oh my gosh, what shoe size are you? Don't worry, I have shoes for your girl. Don't worry, it's fine. You know, and so like I was able to do these things where coming down to the end of the pageant, those girls were there for me. You know what I mean? Like they had a girl who had some really bad eyebrows, and I really helped her out in a big way. And it came back to me, you know.
Sure.
And that was the year that I became Miss TNT. And, you know, this secret dream that I never thought I would end up having because I was a runner-up before. And it was all because I had started really just opening doors one after the other, opening up friendships, meeting new people, networking, go to the meeting, go to the event, go to the whatever it is, take the interview, have the conversation. Because if you just say no, you have no idea where that could lead. You could go to the meeting and end up having a completely different discussion. And like I said, once you started mastering all these different talents and skills, you become very versatile. So you yourself now have way more to bring to the table. So you don't know what's going to go on when you walk through that door. And when we did Miss World, I stood up at the Oxford Debate Hall and spoke with Tony Blair and all this. It was the most amazing feeling ever. You know, and I stood up there and we were talking about beauty with a purpose. And I said, let me tell you all something. Beauty by itself is boring. And everybody just started to laugh because nobody saw that coming. I said, beauty by itself is boring. Beauty with a purpose, that's different. Beauty by itself will get you the job. Beauty with a purpose will get you a promotion. You know what I mean? Like beauty by itself, you'll meet the people, you know, whatever, but you have to be able to walk through that door, you know, and that is why I think too many people just give into self-doubt, resistance, this, that, and especially in the pageant world. When you do a pageant, you open up so much into your life, so much good comes into your life, but you know what, when you open those doors, a lot of bad comes into your life too. Mm-hmm. And you are basically, when you put yourself in a pageant, you're basically telling people, yo, criticize me, judge me. You're offering up yourself for public speculation and judgment. And a lot of girls who are not as strong in who they are, that's very hard on them. And that can leave you in a very frazzled state after, especially when you don't win, which is basically 99% of the competition. Mm-hmm. Do not walk away with the crown.
That's right.
You know? So, like, my thing is, open the door. Always take it. Yes. Answer the phone call. Take the job. Always just say yes. And you will end up carving out a life for yourself.
Well, look, I can see why Elizabeth calls you the Queen of Trinidad. You are incredible. I just love listening to you. I could sit here. We could probably talk for 4 or 5 hours if we needed to. But
I know. I'm so sorry.
No, it's great. I really appreciate I appreciate you spending the time. Matter of fact, I see some possible collaboration in the future that we could probably do. So thanks for doing this today.
You see what I mean? But imagine Tim, if you just reached out to me and I was like, oh my God, I'm busy. I have production going on right now. I opened the door and I walked through the door. See?
Yeah, there you go. See, you know how to do it. You know how to do it. Well, hey, thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. You're awesome.
Of course. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all these lovely things that you've said about me. Like I said, my head is so swollen now. I don't think I'm going to be able to sit in my car. And I'm trying to get home from it.
Well, just give it a little time to deflate and then you can get back home and get to sleep.
Yeah. And I will say one last thing for the record. What time is it right now? It's 8:30 here. And I'm in my production house working, right? So
that's what it takes.
I could talk all about all these doors and space and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's hard work. That's the only way you're going to get there. And I'm literally sitting here with a glue gun in my hand as I'm talking to you to turn out costumes for my deadline tomorrow.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think I'm going to be in Trinidad and Tobago anytime soon. So if you're up in the States and, look us up, we'd love to certainly hang out with you for a little while.
Tim, send me a measurement. I will make you a mirrored Speedo. I don't mind doing it in a song if you want.
We do not want anybody to see that, I promise you. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. But thanks again. I really, really appreciate it.
That is today's episode. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And do me a favor, subscribe to the podcast. You can do so on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, the podcast app, Google Play, or you can just go to lifeafterthecrown.com. And by the way, if you're still involved in the pageant world and you're listening and you're wondering, well, gosh, what does Life After the Crown look like for me? And how can I prepare for it? Well, I highly encourage you to download my free Life After the Crown starter guide. It's a quick read, about 35 pages. It's a great blueprint on how to start planning now and not when it's all over. So I highly encourage you to get it. Just go to timtialdo.com/starter guide. And for weekly podcast updates, just follow me on Instagram @timtialdo. Until next time, remember the words of Colossians 3:14. Forgive as quickly and completely as God forgave you. And regardless of what else you put on, wear love. It's your basic, all-purpose garment. Never be without it. Make it a great week, everybody.